Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So my name's Katie if you're new, and I'm going to be doing my July update for my Pan Those Eyeshadows. I honestly can't remember if this is like update number 6 or 7, but either way, it's July and we're doing an update. So I have managed to hit 2 pans this month, which is really exciting because I don't think that I've had like a 2-pan month in a while. I want to say it's been since like February or March maybe, like it's been a while. I have had months where I've had 2 rollouts, but usually it's been usage goals. So I'm pretty excited about that. They are both AV8 shadows, but it still counts. We're still going to count it. So I'm going to throw a photo on screen of my color story from last month to show you what I was working with, and then we'll just go through and talk about how many times I've used them. I'll show you some looks, we'll roll through my new shadows, all that good stuff that normally goes with the Pan Those Eyeshadows update. So I generally start off with my least used shadow, which was the shade Total Immortal from the Milk, Cheese, and Parties palette. I've used this twice since the last update for 10 uses overall since bringing it into the project, and it is this really lovely like matte sort of lilac color, and I just haven't really been feeling like reaching for purples a whole lot recently, so I use this as a transition I think once, and then as a lower lash line color in combination with probably Love from the Norvina palette another time. So this hasn't gotten a ton of use, although I'm hoping that might change depending on what I roll in for this month. I had a bunch of purples in this project like a couple months ago, and so I've been kind of trying to give myself a little bit of a break from those so I don't get burnt out. I'm not really in any particular hurry to hit my usage goal on this, but I would like to get at least 5 uses on it for next month and sort of speed things along a little bit, or else this is going to be in forever. I don't expect to hit pan on these. I did have a melt matte in this project previously and I got very close to pan, I think, but not quite. So I don't know if 30 uses will get me there, but I am just going to continue using this and enjoying this. I do really like this palette. I just feel like it's been warmer and I've been reaching for more warm tones, and this is very much like a winter spring kind of palette for me, but I do want to continue using this, and yeah, so we'll aim for 5 more uses as of the next update to get me like halfway to my usage goal, and I think I can manage that. So next up I have my first roll-in from last month, which was the shade Mochi from the Melt Gemini palette, and so it's this kind of like mustardy shade right here. I've used this 5 times, so I feel like you can see maybe a little bit more of a dip forming, but nothing too crazy. Again, same thing, I don't know if I'll necessarily pan this in 30 uses. I had Luna in like way back at the beginning of this project, and as you can see I have like a massive crater in here after like 35 uses and still no pan, so I think it's probably going to take a while. But again, I'm just sort of aiming for the usage goal of 30 on this one, and then we'll roll it out. I find that this one is nice because you can kind of really build it up and it works well with greens and golds, and then if you really like sheer it out a little bit, it works as a really great transition color for browns, and so you can make it more neutral if you want to. So I've been kind of experimenting with that with this color for this month, and I look forward to continue using it. I think it'll be a good like summer color and even into the fall. I love this palette for the fall, so I expect you'll see probably a lot more like grungy greens and grungy neutrals on me as it starts to cool down a little bit. So next up I have my second roll-in from last month, which is the shade Dayspring from the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, and I did rearrange mine. I was feeling a little bored, so I was procrastinating on some work for the last of my summer class, and so I rearranged my palette. And so Dayspring is actually this bronze shade right here, and I have been really enjoying having this in. So I've used this 5 times, and I feel like there is a little bit more of a dip forming, like nothing too crazy, but it's definitely looking a little bit more used. I think I definitely can pan this within 30 uses. I want to say it took me like 16 uses to hit pan on Aster, which is also in this palette, although Aster did have a fairly significant dip on it when I rolled it in, whereas I'd used Dayspring I think like 4 times maybe when I rolled it in last month. So this is at 5 uses, and I'm not really in any hurry with this one. It's a really nice like safe, comfy summer color. I'm not really rushing to roll it out. I'm just kind of using it when I feel like it, but I'm not trying to hit pan on it like by next month or anything like that, because it's a very easy color to incorporate, and I feel like it's always nice to have a couple of safety shades in, and this works for that purpose. So we are going to continue using this and enjoying this for the next month. For you guys who are doing this project and have rearranged palettes in the past, how do you handle roll-ins from that palette? Do you do the shade that was originally in that place, or do you do the shade that is there now? For example, Dayspring, original Dayspring is right up here, but Dayspring is actually located down here. Would you roll in this shade, or would you do this one because this was originally Dayspring? I am curious, feel free to let me know. So next up we have my Angels from the ABH Carly Bible palette, and I think we all knew that I was very close to pan on this one as of the last update, and I don't even know if you will be able to actually see the pan because it's kind of been obscured, but I do actually have a pretty decent sized pan in there, and let me wipe this and see if I can. There's sort of like glitter glue buildup, so that is what it's looking like now, and so that took me 5 additional uses for 16 uses total, And so we are going to be rolling this one out. This has been fun to have in. It does work as like a safety shade, but it does have a little bit of that grungy green edge to it, which I love so much. So I've had a lot of fun with this one, but this has been in for, I want to say like 3 or 4 months now. So I am definitely happy to have this one rolled out. And last but not least, my surprise pan for this month. So this is in the shade Wild Child from the ABH Norvina palette. So I used this one 6 additional times this month for 14 uses in total. And now we are looking like this. I have a pretty decent pan on this. So I didn't expect to hit pan on this, but weirdly it only took 1 more use. Actually, I have used this an additional time since hitting pan. So I didn't think I was gonna see pan on this one because the dip did not look as large as the one in My Angels did, but I got there a couple weeks ago, so it didn't take that long. So I've mentioned before in pretty much every update since rolling this in that this shade is definitely quite far outside of my comfort zone as far as pinks go. I much prefer shades like Rose Gold, which are have a little bit more depth. I think that brights don't necessarily work as well with my undertone, and this is a little bit too light and too bright to work really, really well with my undertone, although I think if you're not olive, that won't be an issue for you. But I'm really glad I got this in this project because it's not a shade that I had really reached for a whole lot prior to rolling it in. It's not one that I was comfortable with. It wasn't one that I was sure that if I was sure that I could even wear. It was one of those ones where when I bought the palette, I was like, I'm probably going to use every other shade except for that one. But it actually ended up being a nice challenge to work on because it was one of those things where I wanted to see if I could find a way to make it work, and I have really enjoyed wearing it the way that I'm doing it today, where I used it as the center eyelid for a halo eye in combination with Rose Gold. I don't really like it on its own, but I feel like you can definitely work with it if I use it in small bits and it's not like the focus of an eye look. So I definitely have been enjoying it. It is pouring. Sorry, I'm like easily distracted. It's definitely been fun to work on. I do have a decent pan and I used it far more than I would have of my own volition, so I'm definitely happy that I got it in, and I'm also glad to roll it out and work on some other things. So if you can hear the rain, we'll just consider it like ambiance. So because I hit 2 new pans, that means that I get to roll those out and bring something else in. So because I film on my phone, I roll before I start filming. We're not actually bringing any new palettes in this month. The new shades that I got are from the existing roundup of 5 palettes. So I got the shade Moo from the ABH Carly Bible palette, which is sort of like a neutral champagne color. Again, great safety shade. I'm happy to have it in. And then I also got the shade Cheese in Parties from the Melt Cheese in Parties. So that is definitely going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So I'm going to swatch out my new color story and I will come back and show you what I'm working with, and then I'll show you some looks. We did some swatching and this is what I'm working with. So I feel like this works, maybe not all of them together, but they do work, I think, individually. So I feel like these guys would definitely work together. Moo is such a great safety shade. I don't know if it's going to be too dark to work as a highlighter on me, but I'm definitely going to give that a try. And then I'm really glad to have something else in that'll give me like a push to use Total Immortal a little bit more. So I feel like these guys could work together, and then you could definitely use Moo with those two as well. So I feel like there are some options. So I feel like this has good combo of like out there colors and not so out there colors. And Cheese in Parties is great. It's like sort of a burgundy color, and it's not like a super foiled metallic shimmer like Moo, so it can kind of work on the lower lash line too. Like it's satiny enough to work for that. I feel like this works well. We've got some summer shades, we've got some shades for a little bit more depth, so I'm pretty happy. Let's talk about my pan percentage, because obviously I have 2 new pans, so there have been some changes there. I don't have any bonus pans yet for this month, but there might be a few next month depending on how things go. So I'm at a pan percentage of 13.26% to be exact. So I am at 13 shades panned out of 98. We are approaching the 20%, which was sort of like my 15 to 20% was kind of like my unofficial goal for myself, and I feel like especially if I keep on getting ABH shades into this project, I feel like it is definitely a lot more doable. So I don't know if I'll be able to get Moo panned by next month, but I feel like it'll make a good everyday sort of inner corner highlight shade, good all over lid shade. So it might be possible, we'll see. It did only take me like what, 16 uses to hit pan on my Angels, so I feel like it's possible. So I am just going to sort of see how that goes, and I have a sense that based on how things go with some of the other shades in my Norvina palette, I feel like I might have a pan in Love for next month. I feel like there might be a bonus pan or 2 next month, so we will see how that goes, but I'm definitely happy to see an improvement. Like I said, my unofficial goal was like 15 to 20, and I am well on my way to that, so I am definitely happy with how things are looking. So that is my pan percentage for the month. Definitely a few improvements, so I'm happy to see that. And let's move on to the eye looks. So I am going to go ahead and we're gonna go through some of the eye looks that I came up with this month. I did manage to take a whole bunch of photos of them. So first of all, I think we should start off with what I'm wearing today. So this is sort of my standard look to use Wild Child, and I think this is still my favorite way to wear it. So it's basically using it as a center eyelid shade in a halo eye with the shade Rose Gold, and then I used the shade Incense as the transition, and then Love on top of it for a little bit more pinkness. Love is on the lower lash line, and then I added a little bit of Passion just on like the outer third of the crease, just to add a little bit more depth and definition. I personally think with my eye shape, adding a little bit of extra something like at the outer third works really well. So that's what I'm doing today, and then I used my Milk Gel liner in the shade Burnish as a liner, mascara, and we are good to go. So I'm definitely happy with this. I feel like this is colorful but still cute. I'm a fan, and I'm definitely going to continue wearing this look probably on a semi-regular basis for the foreseeable future. Alright, so next up we've got another look with using Wild Child Rose Gold. Again, I'm pretty sure it's the same melange of shades, it was just the lid placement probably differed a little bit. I also wore this look quite a lot. I put Wild Child on the inner half of the eyelid, Rose Gold on the outer half, Melt Burnish liner as a liner, and then same thing on the bottom lash line, Love, Incense, and Passion, just to add a little bit more depth and dimension. So I think for this one I was looking for something a little bit more neutral and bronzy and sort of classic summer, so I did a halo eye using Moo and Dayspring. So Dayspring was the inner and outer third, Moo was the center eyelid, then I went in with Mochi as the lower lash line and very lightly as the transition shade, and then I went over it with, I want to say probably Chai from the ABH Carly Bible palette, and a little bit of Boy in the outer lid just for like a little bit of definition. And that was the look. Very simple, very easy, very sort of classic summer, very safe and appropriate, which sometimes you need. Okay, again, we've got a variation on the first look. This is like a very soft look featuring Wild Child. So again, Wild Child on the inner 2/3 of the eyelid, Rose Gold just a little bit lightly on the outer third, and then I just used Love as a transition shade in the lower lash line. I didn't add any Passion or anything like that, just to add a little bit of depth. I just sort of kept it very soft and blown out. And then I added Pink Opal from the KVD Alchemist palette as like my inner eyelid shade. Alright, so this last one is a little bit more fiery orange, and so as you can imagine, I used the Sunset palette. So I went in with Morning as a transition shade, Morgan as my crease shade, which was also in this project in the beginning till I want to say not that long ago. And then I used Dayspring as like an all over lid shade, deepened up the crease with a little bit of Carnelian, which is why it looks so orange. And then I want to say I used probably Agate as my sort of tear duct inner corner highlight and brow bone highlight. And then last but not least, we have yet another pink eyeshadow look. I feel like I wore a lot of those over the last month. So again, this is a similar type of situation. Love as my transition shade, Passion as a little bit on the outer third just to add some depth, and along the lower lash line, Love on the lower lash line, Wild Child and Rose Gold as my lid shades, and then I did try to do a winged liner with the Melt Gel liner in the shade Burnish. So I was attempting a winged liner with this one. I don't have the most winged liner friendly eye shape, and I really wish I did. I've been trying to master winged liner for like years now, and it just hasn't quite worked out. This eye has a single fold on the outer lid, but I can kind of make the bat wing thing look like I can make that work on this eye, but unfortunately this eye has like 2 folds, and I haven't figured out how to make that work yet. So if you have any advice, let me know, because I would love to be able to wear a winged liner, but I just have not been able to figure out how to make that work, and it makes me sad because I love winged liner. So anyway, it was an attempt. I feel like it worked out okay. My right eye definitely looks weird, but my right eye is my problem eye. My left eye is my good eye. I feel like everybody has one of those, right? So those were my looks for this month. I actually remembered to take photographs of most of them, even though like 3 of those were variations on the same look, but I wore a lot of pink and it was fun. It was definitely outside of my comfort zone, but I'm glad I did. And that's what makes this project so fun, is that you get things that you would not probably choose to wear on your own. So I am really excited for this next round. I think it's going to be good. I don't know if I'll be able to get Moo panned for next month, but like it might be possible. Those pans are not that deep, and it only took me what, like 16 uses to hit pan on my angels, so I feel like that's possible. And I feel like Moo is, looking at it, I feel like it's light enough that it could work as like an inner corner highlight, so we will see how that goes. I might try to make it work as a face highlight. It might be too dark, but we're gonna give it a go. So those are my looks. That's how I'm feeling for this month. All right, so I think that is going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're doing this project, let me know down below how yours is going. If you're doing it on YouTube, please do let me know. I would love to follow along with yours. If you haven't already subscribed and you want to see more of my face, I upload new beauty videos every Tuesday and sometimes on Saturdays. So if that interests you, consider hitting that subscribe button. Feel free to like the video if you enjoyed it. Feel free to dislike if you didn't. And hopefully I will catch you in the next one. Bye!